Hi, I am Niti Nadarajah, and I am one of the co authors of the book Women Leading the Way, a book that is full of some amazing stories from some inspiring women. So, I wanted to share with you today a little bit about my own personal journey over the last few years. Until early last year, I was a full time lawyer, and it's what I'd known and done for 20 years of my life. And to be honest, I was at the point in my career where I just didn't see any other options for me. I thought, I'd been doing it for such a long time. It was all I knew, it was where my skills lay. That even though there was a little part of me that kept wondering about that little thing that was missing, because I always knew there was something missing, I always thought to myself, but what else am I going to do at this point in time? It's too late to do anything else. And interestingly, as I share in my chapter in this book, when the pandemic started, I just returned from parental leave and I was really yearning for connection, having felt quite disconnected from people for quite some time. And then with COVID, obviously feeling even more disconnected. And so I turned to LinkedIn as a way to form connections with people and to start talking about the things that I was experiencing as a senior female and as a senior woman and a senior leader in my organization, as well as a mum of two young kids, one a baby and one in grade one doing remote learning. And so as I started to share these stories, interestingly, I started discovering just how much energy I was getting from doing this and how exciting and wonderful it was to get this input back from other people saying that I'd somehow helped them or help them to heal or help them to feel seen or heard or less alone in what they were experiencing. And as I had more and more of those messages come to me, I started to wonder whether there was something more to this thing and whether I could make it something bigger, something that was a little bit more permanent in my life than this sort of side thing that I was doing on social media. And so I started to really explore, well, what does this mean? And as I started to write more, I started to reflect more on who I was, what I valued, what my strengths were, what my passions were, and how I could potentially turn this into something that was a full time thing in the end. And last year, I finally took the leap and I decided, okay, I'm going to start my own business. And so, I've been doing it now for a little bit less than a year. But now I'm coaching women who, like me, are feeling stuck in their careers and who are wondering what else there might be in life to get unstuck by connecting them in with who they are, fundamentally, deep down, their inner compass. And I'm also doing some DEI consulting work, which is very exciting, and also doing some freelance legal work as well. It's kind of like the foundations of my new building that I'm creating. So it's all very, very exciting. And I'm so happy to be here today to share a little bit about my own learnings in those couple of years whilst I was journeying back to myself and really learning who I was in order to be able to take me to this new place that I wanted to explore. So, firstly, I want to ask you if this resonates with you, if this feels like you. I feel stuck. I've been doing the same thing professionally for such a long time that I no longer know how to dream of doing anything else. Or I'm too old. Perhaps that's what you're telling yourself. It's too late. I don't know anything else. What else could I possibly do? Or even, I'm too scared to think about what else might be possible for me. If any of these things resonate with you, stay with me because I'd love to explore a little bit more about you and to potentially help you to start gaining a little bit of clarity on who you are so that you can start moving forward to unstuckness. So, the first thing I'd like you to consider and really reflect on, and it might be worth taking notes as we go through these, is why you're feeling unstuck. Now, to do that, the first thing I'd like you to think about is where does unstuckness show up for you? Does unstuckness show up for you? Or where does stuckness show up for you? Does stuckness show up for you in your career? When you wake up on a Monday morning, are you excited about the prospect of work, or does it bring you down? Does it wear you down? Think about where it is that you feel stuck. What are the things that are really leading to that stuckness? And then I want you to think about, what is that feeling like? How would you describe that feeling to someone else? What are the adjectives that you could use to describe that feeling? Then I want you to start thinking about what it is that keeps you unstuck, what keeps you stuck. And relevantly, one thing that's really important to remember is that every action or failure to act has a positive intention behind it for you. So in this case, there has to be a positive intention behind you remaining stuck. I want you to really reflect deeply on what that positive intention could be. Is it potentially something like safety? It feels unsafe to get unstuck. And so, therefore, to protect yourself, to keep yourself comfortable, you're allowing yourself to stay where you are, even though it might be making you unhappy. Is that what's going on? Is it that you are not wanting to fail, right? Is that what it is that's keeping you stuck? So there's a positive intention there, which again relates to safety, relates to comfort, relates to maintaining a certain image or reputation for yourself. Are these the things that are keeping you stuck? So really reflect on, what is it for you, a positive intention that might be keeping you stuck. The next thing I want you to really think about is, what would unstuckness look like? And actually, we're going to do an exercise with this that's going to take you away from your thinking self, and I want you to really get into your body. So I want you to stand up with me and shake things out and just get really comfortable in the space that you're in. Just shake off everything that you've been thinking about over the day, everything that's happened during your day. And when you're ready, I want you to close your eyes. And as you close your eyes, I want you to take yourself 1 year into the future. As you take yourself 1 year into the future, on this day, 1 year in the future, you have done all the things you wanted to do. You have gotten unstuck, and you are in this wonderful place where suddenly your life has played out exactly as you wanted, even if you don't know exactly what that looks like just yet. I want you to sit with that feeling. What does this feeling of unstuckness look like, feel like? Where do you feel it in your body? Do you feel any pressure in your body? Do you feel any tension? Or is there a relaxation that comes with this feeling? What temperatures do you feel in your body? Can you see any colors, even with your eyes closed? What are you feeling? I want you to just lean into that feeling and just sit with it for a few moments. And just pay attention to how you're breathing. Pay attention to everything from your fingertips all the way down to your feet. Just feel how this feeling courses through your body. I want you to hold that feeling. And as you hold that feeling, I want you to start imagining what this feeling, having this feeling in your life more permanently, what it might do in relation to other things in your life, your relationships with other people, your health, your emotional state, your enjoyment of work, your family. Let's start exploring the way that this feeling could really ripple into other aspects of your life and create massive transformation for you. I want you to hold on to this feeling, because this feeling is your motivation to get unstuck. This feeling is the thing that you're aiming for. You don't need to know what it is at this point that will give rise to that feeling for you, But that feeling is like your North Star. It's what you're aiming for. That's why you want to get unstuck. I want you to keep that in mind. Bottle it up. Bottle it. Keep it with you. Stick it in your pocket. Keep it with you wherever you go. Now, sometimes it can feel like, you don't have any options and that it's too late to find passion or purpose because you've been doing the same thing for such a long time. But I can really attest to the fact that it's never too late to find either of these things. You can find them, you can explore them. And the answers really lie in knowing who you are at a very deep level. One really important lesson that I've learned over the last couple of years is that your past experience is not a measure of your future potential. I had always limited myself to the fact that I was a lawyer and these are the skills that I'd had. And it took me really opening my eyes and really looking into who I was in order for me to take those blinkers off and to be able to see that actually my potential is a lot bigger and broader than I thought it was. And it's the same for you too. So I want you to keep that in mind. So the first thing that I'd like us to do is to connect in with our values. So what do you believe in? What's really important to you? I want you to do a couple of things. So firstly, the first thing I'd like you to do, and you can do this later on, is to find a list of values on Google and just print them out, just a list of values that, is quite long, just so you've got a lot of different options to play with. Next thing I want you to do is draw a timeline, and I want you to start by thinking of 5 life experiences or life events that really lit you up from within, that led to these amazing positive emotions. I want you to note them down on your first timeline. I want you to also, on your second timeline, note down 5 life experiences or events that were challenging or caused you pain or even trauma, right? Note them down on your second timeline. Then I want you to go back through these different life experiences and events, and I want you to really think about what is it that lay behind that emotion in that moment. What was it that was triggered? What was it that was triggered positively? What was it that was triggered in a way that was potentially less positive? So it could be, for example, that you achieved something really huge at work and you got all these accolades for this thing that you'd done. Now, it could be for you that the thing that led to that emotion of joy, pride, whatever it was the recognition that you got. And so it could be that you value recognition highly, and that's something that's really important to you as you move forward in life. Or it could be that it's achievement that you really value, success. So if that's it, then I want you to note that down. And even if you come up with a few words for each one, note them down. That's fine. We don't need to narrow it down just at this moment. And I want you to do the same with the challenging events, because typically with challenging events, there's a value that's been encroached upon in that moment. So it could be, for example, that you left a toxic workplace and that you had a boss that was really micromanaging you, that was looking over your shoulders all the time, and that this whole experience led to a lot of physical health and mental health issues for you. So that stress or that pain or anxiety that you experienced in that moment could potentially be driven by a value of autonomy being encroached upon by this manager. So I want you to do this for each of these life events and try and come up with some theme words for each of them. Then I also want you to create a separate list of things that you believe are non-negotiables in your life. What are the things that are really, really important to you on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, on a yearly basis? Whether it is spending time with family, whether it is getting out to exercise, whether it is having time to go to the gym, whether it is time to look after yourself in terms of self-care. Whatever it is, I want you to note down these things. I also want you to start thinking about the things that trigger you. What are the things that really, really get you riled up? I want you to start noting down these things. And then again, in a similar way to the timeline, I want you to start exploring what is it that lies behind these non-negotiables or these triggers. Is there a value there that's really important to you? And once you've got these things mapped out, your timelines, your list of non-negotiables and triggers, I want you to start looking at them holistically. Perhaps, have them all on one paper because that'll help. And I want you to start seeing if you can see any patterns or any trends or any themes that come out of this piece of work. Once you've identified some of these patterns, I want you to come up with a list of up to 5 values. Probably no more than 5, but up to 5 is fine. The next thing I'd like you to explore is your superpowers. And I say superpowers on purpose because they are superpowers and we need to own them as such. We need to treat them as such. So, what are your superpowers? Your superpowers are things like your skills, right? So, this doesn't need to be professional skills. It could be skills that you bring to your personal life. So, you might be the best baker in the world. Like, you might be one of those people that bakes those children's cakes, that you see like on children's birthdays and that are really Instagram worthy, right? If that's a skill of yours, write it down, note it down. Don't filter what comes up for you. I just want you to just treat this as a mind dump. Just get everything out of your head onto paper. It doesn't matter if it doesn't make sense. No one else needs to look at it. It's just for you. So skills. Qualifications. What are the things that you've learned over the years? What are, if you've gone to university, what are the degrees that you have? Or what degree do you have as a result of that? What else have you learned along the way? Are there any courses you've done? Any certifications that you have? Note them all down. Knowledge. What are the things that you're really knowledgeable about? So, for example, if you are someone that loves to read about history, and that means you have like this encyclopedia of historical events in your mind, write that down as well. Anything that is your superpower, you need to write down. Strengths. What are your strengths? Now, this is a big one, right? Because we often focus quite heavily on weaknesses. But when you really focus on your strengths, what are the things that you're really, really, really good at, right? And if you're struggling with this, I recommend that you go to the VIA character site. There's a free survey that you can do on strengths. It's really useful, right? Perhaps do that survey just if you're struggling to identify what your strengths are. And again, not just professional strengths, life strengths too. And things that other people say you do really well. Now, this is something we often forget, but positive feedback is important. The things that other people recognize in you. If you're struggling with this one, go and ask some friends and family. Ask them what are the things that they think you do really well. Next, I want you to also note down and do this on the same piece of paper. Maybe make 2, sides to the piece of paper or 2 circles or whatever it is. One for your superpowers, one for what brings you joy. The second side, what brings you joy? So this should be all the things that you really love, the things that you're passionate about, the things that get you excited, the things that you can't wait to do, for example. So as one example, if you go to a dinner party with friends and someone starts talking about a particular topic, is that topic something that you just want to keep talking about and you're disappointed when the conversation moves to somewhere else? If it is, note that down because that's something that gets you really excited. Note down the things that you love doing. What do you do on the weekend? What do you really enjoy doing? Do you enjoy going to concerts? Do you enjoy spending time hiking in nature? What are the things you love doing? Note them all down. Who are the people that you want to be around because they give you joy, right? Note them down. And what is the work that you love doing? What is it that you actually enjoy about the work that you do? Even if there are only a few things that you enjoy, note them all down. They're really important because it's really important that we start to identify where you derive joy, where your energy is at its highest. So I want you to just note that all down on a piece of paper. Once you've got that together with your other piece of paper that has your values on it, I want you to start looking at what you can see across these two pieces of paper and start to reflect on what's happening in your mind as you read through these different things that you've written down. Perhaps there might be things in there that you'd forgotten about, things that you're reminding yourself really matter to you. The last thing I want you to explore is your life experiences. What experiences have been pivotal in changing the direction of your life or your way of being in the world? So, I know, for example, that when I became a parent, things changed for me in terms of the way I related to other people and the way I led people in workplaces. All of a sudden, I brought a much more empathetic, much more compassionate side of myself to the workplace. And I also shared more than I had done before. It also made me realize that actually, you know, things do change when you become a parent, both personally in your life, but also within your workplace as well. And that you need to take proactive steps yourself as well to counteract some of these changes. So, what are some of these experiences in your life that have been really pivotal for you? What are some of the influential moments? Do a mind dump of all of these life experiences, whatever they might be, don't filter them again, and note them all down. Now, once you've got these three different exercises, I want you to take everything that you've worked on, keep it somewhere where you can see it. Maybe put them up on a wall so that you have them in front of you. You can keep coming back to them as and when you need. And then I want you to start reflecting, ideally on a daily basis, about, what comes up for you as you journey through your days, your weeks, what is happening in the day for you. See if you can find the links back to your values, to the things you enjoy doing. For example, where is your energy at its highest in your day? Like, what really gave you joy during the day? Equally, what sapped the energy from you in the day? Are these things you'd listed on your sheet about the things that you love? If not, add it to the list. Perhaps there might be something that happens on one day and you're triggered. See if that aligns to some of the things that you'd reflected on in relation to your values. And just as you keep exploring this, just keep journaling, because it's really useful if you can start to release things from within onto a piece of paper or even on your shower screen, as someone recommended to me the other day. You just need to get them out from within yourself. And I want you to remember, as you journey forward, the world has yet to witness how absolutely limitless your potential is. It's very easy to wear these blinkers as we journey through life because we've been told we need to focus on one thing. We need to focus on this thing. And once you're on this path and you're focusing on this thing, you start to not be able to see what's in your peripheral vision, to see all the potential. You block yourself off to potential. But as you start to explore who you are, what are the things that light you up, what are the things you're really good at, hopefully those blinkers can start to disappear. And hopefully you can start to understand just what your true potential really is. So I wanted to say a really big thank you to you for being here with me today. I hope that what I've shared with you today helps you to move forward and potentially get unstuck. And, I really wish you all the best as you journey forward. The more you get to know yourself, the more you realize that you can truly experience transformation. Thank you.